President Andrew Friedson. I'm Jordan Lindsay. Reporters, if you still need permission to record, if you have any questions throughout this briefing, you can note that in the chat or raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. Now I'll toss it to Council President for remarks and then we'll open it up for questions. Council President, to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. To start us off, I had a busy weekend this weekend out in the community. On Saturday, I attended Poolsville Day and the Fair Access Breakfast with a number of colleagues. Was pleased to see my colleague Marilyn Balcom receive an award from the Fair Access Committee as a champion of the Western County, an award I was privileged and honored to receive a couple years ago, and that she was incredibly well deserved to receive this past weekend, which was great. I also was able to join the Laytonsville community for their annual town picnic, celebrating 25 years of doing that picnic in their community, which is just a great small town and really reminds us of the value of community. And over the weekend also made a number of other stops. There was a major Sister Cities event that I joined for, celebrating our partnerships and multicultural exchanges around the world, reflecting our diversity in our community, where over 1/3 of our residents are foreign born and where over 107 languages are spoken in our schools and in our communities. I joined for the Bernie Awards, which provides scholarships to several dozen of our most promising students, and joined the Muslim Community Foundation for their volunteer awards with the county executive and with Councilmember Balcom to celebrate the volunteers who do so much in our community and are great partners to our county government. We also had a major moment, joined Delegate Jared Solomon in Friendship Heights for the placement of a Belmont marker, which is a historical marker approved by the Department of Transportation to note an untold story of Chevy Chase and Friendship Heights when 4 Black businessmen were attempting to and would have otherwise been able to purchase lots in the Chevy Chase community that is now Friendship Heights in the village of Chevy Chase, and were ultimately blocked from doing so. There was a major event with some of the historians and the descendants and Montgomery history, as well as Department of Transportation. And then we also had the rescheduled celebration in Rockville at the Maddie Stepanek Park, where we at the state, the county, and the municipal level note a day in July to be Peace Day in his memory, because of his pioneering work during his short but powerful, impactful lifetime. And his mom, Jenny, carries on his legacy in such a beautiful way. It was too hot to celebrate in July in an inclusive way where everybody could have joined us. And so it was rescheduled for yesterday, and we had a great day out in Rockville to do that. Unfortunately, while many of these great celebrations of our community were going on, we also had a string of violence over the weekend with 2 deadly shootings and a third that left a teenager seriously injured. Law enforcement is investigating each one of these 3 shootings, and the police-involved shooting reviewed by the Independent Investigations Division of the state's Office of the Attorney General, who's responsible for the investigation and release of the body camera footage. I'm sure there are questions that are lingering about that. I don't have any additional information to add and would direct those questions to the Montgomery County Department of Police. We'll answer what I can, but we have limited information besides what has been shared with you publicly, and as the community are awaiting the body-worn cameraage to be released by the state's Office of the Attorney General. I want to send our condolences to the family members who lost loved ones and express our prayers for the teenager to have a full and swift recovery. As always, the council stands ready to provide the Montgomery County Police with the resources necessary to close these cases and to help prevent gun violence in our community. I have had a number of conversations with community leaders, with fellow elected leaders who represent those communities. There have been a number of meetings and efforts that have been undertaken over the last couple of days. And I look forward to continuing to work with them and the community to address these issues as best as we can. Now I'm going to shift gears and move into some economic development and housing news and some issues before the council. First is delighted to share the news that was recently shared that Montgomery County has once again been received a AAA bond rating. This is the highest possible rating for a local government. We have received this rating by the different agencies for multiple decades. It's the longest running consecutive streak of a AAA bond rating by all three agencies of any local jurisdiction that anybody knows of, that we know of, that anybody can calculate. And we're one of just about 50 jurisdictions out of 3,000 counties in the country who has this designation. It's a hard-earned AAA bond rating that reflects our shared commitment to sound fiscal policies and our careful stewardship of taxpayer dollars. I joined with Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Chair and Vice President Kate Stewart, along with the county executive and our finance and Office of Management and Budget teams on the rating agency calls, and was really pleased with how positively they see our county government and the management of our taxpayer funds. With prudence and collaboration, we've navigated through unprecedented challenges to fund our schools, public safety, and affordable housing at record levels, while investing in economic development and growth so we can maintain Montgomery County as a thriving community for residents and businesses. The rating allows the county to sell long-term bonds at the most favorable rates available, saving county taxpayers millions of dollars over the life of the bonds and allowing us to afford more schools, more rec centers, more libraries, and more public benefits and public services. The ratings also serve as a benchmark for numerous financial transactions, ensuring that we have the lowest transaction costs possible, which is really significant. The bond rating agencies noted Montgomery County's very strong and dynamic local economy, reserve balances, fiscal management, as well as our long-term liabilities associated with the AAA bond rating. I was pleased to be able to specifically highlight the $20 million new jobs initiative that I spearheaded last year as one of the ways that we are continuing to invest in economic development to grow our economy, which is a key focus of the rating agency calls, the dynamism of our local economy and the need to continue to be competitive and to grow. And that was really well received, and I was really pleased to see that. I really want to thank the county's fiscal management team, particularly the Department of Finance, for all their work on the critical issue. We will continue to carefully analyze all budgetary decisions and remain steadfast in maintaining our fiscal principles, which has earned Montgomery County this highly coveted bond rating. And again, thank the finance team and our Office of Management Budget team, as well as council staff, for all the work that they have done to put us in this position, and really appreciated the collaboration of Council Vice President Stewart and GO Chair Stewart, as well as the county executive on the rating agency's calls and on these efforts. Tomorrow, we'll also be kicking off our session with a discussion with Maryland Secretary of Housing and Community Development, Jacob Day. Secretary Day is visiting various affordable housing and mixed-use housing sites across Montgomery County and talking with elected leaders about ways we're addressing the housing shortage. I look forward to spending the morning with him tomorrow. He's also going to be here this afternoon. And although I'll be in a session talking about housing legislatively, look forward to his several stops throughout our community, highlighting some of the many projects that we have that include one of the largest affordable housing projects in the region with the Randolph Road project that the county is working with our housing partners in AHC and Habitat for Humanity to provide deeply affordable housing, homeownership opportunities, and rental housing, along with services at the former publicly owned public site where we previously had the Department of Recreation. And that used to be the home, actually, of the Imagination Stage, which is now housed alongside a parking garage in Bethesda. As part of our discussions on Tuesday, we'll go over some of the issues county residents have expressed, as well as initiatives the county has taken up and is considering in order to find solutions to the housing challenges we face. Additionally, I plan to go over some of the legislative changes we've made to help grow housing and to allow housing adjacent to places of worship, changes to eliminate parking requirements that are mandated by the government to promote housing near transit hubs, as well as record investments we have made in our county budget for housing, and also talk about the Housing Production Fund and the Nonprofit Preservation Fund that I've worked very hard on, and that the state is very interested in partnering with us to help us to grow and expand and to see happen in other jurisdictions across the state. So I look forward to those conversations. This year alone, we've provided an unprecedented level of funding for affordable housing at $168 million. That included the $50 million to fully fund the Nonprofit Preservation Fund after years of efforts in conversations that I've led alongside the Department of Housing and Community Affairs, the Housing Opportunity Commission, and many of our local housing partners. So look forward to that as well, and really appreciate to have a governor and a lieutenant governor who get it on housing and how important it is as a moral and an economic imperative, as well as Secretary Day, who really not only has been a leader nationally and statewide on housing issues, but understands the municipal perspective, having been the mayor in Salisbury and doing so much of his great work there, and somebody who I got to work with when I was at the state and he was at the municipal level. And now we've reversed roles where I'm in county government and he's at the state level. So it's great to be able to continue our partnership together. Speaking of exciting housing projects, last week I had the pleasure of attending the Hillandale Gateway groundbreaking ceremony in Silver Spring. This project is an absolute shining example of how Montgomery County, which led in housing in the 1970s and 1980s and were considered to be a leading pioneer nationwide, let our leadership slip for a couple decades, and now we are leading once again. And the project at Hillandale Gateway was made possible by the Housing Production Fund, that $100 million fund that I helped to spearhead with the previous council, and also the Montgomery County Green Bank funds. Hans Riemer and I worked together to create the $100 million Housing Production Fund alongside our colleagues on the council. Tom Hucker and I worked together along with our partners on the council to provide dedicated funding for the Green Bank, about $20 million per year out of the fuel energy tax receipts that we receive. And now this project at Hillandale Gateway, the largest residential investment in the East County in over 50 years, that will create 463 units, over half of which will be affordable, will be the first net zero project in Montgomery County of this size for a residential community, along with the Duffy Companies, which has been a great partner for us to really push the envelope for green building standards in Montgomery County. That project is $303 million total, over $100 million in public financing and funding at the federal, state, and county level. Again, made possible thanks to the Housing Production Fund and the Green Bank financing to both make it affordable and green. And so really excited about the efforts that we're undertaking, with 54% of the overall development affordable at income levels 30 to 80%. So truly mixed income, truly what we are looking to do, and expecting that to really serve as a catalyst for the economic growth that we are working so hard on in Eastern Montgomery County. And when we partner that and really have that as a signature along the Beltway in East County, you're going to see this as a real gateway area. We also have that alongside the White Oak Science Gateway Master Plan and many of the other efforts that we're looking to do, creating 3,000 new housing units by in short order there. It's really exciting what we're going to be able to do. And speaking of East County, Viva White Oak, this is a project that has been stalled for many, many years. We're finally seeing some project on it. There's a development capacity of 12.2 million square feet on 200 acres immediately east of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. It's a key area for us in terms of our development of East County, and in terms of us really doubling down on live, work, play type of opportunities and building on our strengths. Baltimore-based MCB Real Estate has gone to the planning board for sketch plan approval and has received early stage sketch plan approval for up to 3,000 residences, 3 million square feet of life sciences, research and development, and medical space, nearly 500,000 square feet of retail, a hotel, and senior housing. So incredibly exciting. We're looking forward to that. The county is looking to partner. We are a key partner in the Viva White Oak project. We made significant commitments, and we're looking forward to finally see that come to fruition. And then we're continuing our efforts with upcoming Attainable Housing listening sessions. We have one tonight in Germantown. We have one on Wednesday in Bethesda. We have moved it to BCC High School to accommodate significant interest that we have received. It was at the Regional Service Center, which could not accommodate such a large interest and group. And then we have a virtual one coming up as well. The Germantown Community Center from 7 to 9 tonight is in addition to Wednesday's 7 p.m. At the BCC High School. We moved it over to the auditorium in order to allow for the additional registrants. And then we have October the 2nd at noon, our virtual listening session as well. This is an unprecedented level of public outreach. We don't even have legislation yet before us. We have the recommendations that have come from the planning department as part of a process that began 3.5 years ago when a zoning text amendment was introduced at the council, and the decision was made to have the planning department do some research and send us recommendation as opposed to us moving forward in short order on those zoning changes at that time. And now we have to decide what we are going to do with it. And so we're hearing from as many residents as possible. We had the 3 listening sessions, the 3 briefings at the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee over the summer. We now have these 5 listening sessions. I'm out in the community and I'm hearing from folks quite a bit as well. And we have an opportunity to decide how we're going to move forward and to make sure that we're being as thoughtful and intentional as possible and try to address the balancing and competing interests in terms of a greater diversity of housing types, as close to transit corridors and transit centers as possible, which has been the longstanding housing policy of Montgomery County that even predated Thrive from the 2011 housing update that the council undertook long before I joined the council, and the concerns that we've heard from residents that we need to address as well. So we're working at balancing those. We're working at taking up and soberly considering each and every one of the recommendations that we received and all of the feedback that is coming in. We're going to aggregate that feedback. It's going to be presented to the full council, and then ultimately we're going to decide our path forward. And then that will begin the formal legislative process, which again hasn't even begun yet. With that, let me turn it back to you, Jordan, and see if there are any questions.
Great. Thank you, Council President Friedson. Reporters, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and note that in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. Any questions, reporters? I don't see any questions in the chat. Going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, back to you, Council President, for closing remarks.
Thanks for joining us. Obviously, there's a lot going on. I didn't even mention the growth and infrastructure policy, which we're going to continue to take up this afternoon, which is the quadrennial every 4-year effort that we look at our adequate public facilities and decide how we grow, where we grow, and the circumstances in order to accommodate that growth. That is something that we're taking up over the next several weeks as well. So a lot going on here at the County Council. Look forward to continuing these conversations, and feel free to reach out anytime.